Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Law School Community Classroom. What we're going to be discussing today is Indigenous heirs. We're going to look at some other words that you might use to describe an heir. And then we're also going to talk about some legal fictions related to the civilized tribes and the blood quantum fantasy. Let's start off addressing this construct of blood quantum and this idea of civilized tribes. Now, what's noteworthy about this is that the Bureau of Indian Affairs sort of vacillates related to who is responsible for this blood quantum construct and who is responsible for determining blood quantum. It doesn't matter. We're just going to address it. There's no such thing as blood quantum based upon ancestry. It doesn't exist. There is no blood quantum based upon ethnicity. It does not exist. Now let's talk about these civilized tribes. The civilized tribes are also legal fictions. Civilized tribes actually defy the laws of nature. There is no circumstance under which a person is admitted to a family or not admitted to a family in which a person was born. And so these civilized tribes that have been created, they defy state family law. The civilized tribes defy state probate law. And it's also noteworthy that, generally speaking, there is no such thing as federal family law, and there is no such thing as federal probate law. And so, generally speaking, the federal government is not involved in determining family relationships. The federal government, generally speaking, is not involved in determining heirship. And so, technically speaking, the federal government does not have jurisdiction over these dynamics related to family law, who belongs in a family, who are the legitimate children in a family, who belongs to a particular clan or tribe. These are not things that are under the jurisdiction of the federal government. These dynamics are under the jurisdiction of the state systems. However, we have this odd dynamic going on wherein the federal government is somehow involved in the determination of heirship, the determination of legacy with respect to these purported civilized tribes. When we are talking about heirs with respect to belonging to an indigenous legacy, there are a number of names or words that you might see or choose to use in order to identify descendants of indigenous people, meaning the pre-colonial folks. One word is scion. Another word is legacy, children, offspring, offshoots, progeny, issue, spinoff, brood, seed, stock, dynasty, clan, strain, fruit, lineage, the posterity, line, clan, successors, descendants. Now, when one is an heir, one stands to inherit from an ancestor. And so, basically speaking, an ancestor passes down whatever happens to be their property and whatever happens to be their rights in property. And this passes down to children, clan, scions, legacy, all of that, okay, to the children. And the children inherit all of that. And so, in essence, what belonged to the ancestors of the children belongs to the children. And finally, this idea or this practice of casting biological children out of a family, out of a tribe, out of a clan, all of these dynamics are anti-biblical. This is noteworthy because a part of being a civilized tribe originally was rooted in taking on these quote unquote Christian doctrines. Now, hopefully, this provided clarity related to Indigenous heirs, specifically heirs of the body and different constructs that might be used to delineate heirs of the body. That means children that come from the body, descendants. Also, hopefully, there is greater clarity related to this idea of jurisdiction as it relates to quote unquote Indian family affairs. Hopefully, you also have a more clear idea of the extent to which these fallacies related to blood quantum and civilized tribes are not rooted in laws of nature, and they are not rooted in family law and probate law. Finally, hopefully, you have a better understanding of the extent to which these constructs, these legal fictions, are legitimate or illegitimate based upon Scripture. Remember, not only is knowledge power, ignorance is more expensive than a Harvard education.